What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about 5 smartphones that you can buy for around the $200 price point. So let's go ahead and get started here. I wanted to start off with our biggest price drop is the Galaxy S10e. So if you check out the link down below, this phone has actually come down to 150 bucks on Amazon. That is the cheapest I've seen it. Was typically going for around like 220 bucks, but it did a major price down. Like I told you guys, it was gonna happen by the end of the year. A lot of these phones start going down. It's that the price is insane, guys. For this phone, it is insane. So this phone, it's a compact flagship, aluminum frame, glass back, IP68 dust and water resistant, extremely easy to hold in the hand. It does have the dynamic AMOLED display, HDR10 plus. 5.8-inch display, 1080p, 438 for the PPI. It has a really great flat display on here. It's got the punch hole. It's bright and it just looks really good still. So this phone, it did get the Android 12 One UI 4.1 update. That will be the last major OS update for this phone. It is in the security patch stages, which will be about 3 years. So it does have the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640. This phone still plays games at high settings. It's still pretty much just check out the gaming test, guys. Type it in the search bar and you'll see it's able to play PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, all at high settings. It's a really great performer, especially if you have the Snapdragon version. You do have micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM on here. So it's just a very fast phone still. It's going to beat out most budget phones, most mid-rangers too. So you do have a headphone jack, some excellent sounding stereo speakers, especially for the size of this phone. Great bass, great mids, and plus all of your flagship features are here. Samsung desktop support, reverse wireless charging is on here. The fingerprint scanner is side mounted, and it's just one of my favorite features on the phone. It's just extremely easy to unlock your phone. This phone also has excellent cameras. It's got a 12 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60 and a 10 megapixel selfie cam that also shoots in 4K 60. It takes some great photos, especially in great lighting. Just awesome detail, great dynamic range. The ultra wide is pretty close to the main lens in terms of quality. Video is solid. 150 bucks. This is a steal. Probably one of the best deals of the year so far. Now, the only downside with this phone, since it's a smaller flagship, is that it has a small battery. It's a 3110 milliamp battery or 3100 milliamp battery, and then it's 15-watt charging with wireless charging. So this phone can get around 4 hours, 30 minutes of screen on time, so it's not quite a full day. But if you buy like a battery case, since it's so cheap, you'll be able to use this phone for a full day since you have, that extra money now. But definitely, I mean, pick this phone up. It's a steal. All right, guys. Next is the iPhone XR. This one has come down really well in price to around 230 bucks. 240 bucks. It's a really solid deal. You can probably find it even a little bit cheaper on eBay as well. So this phone has the premium design, it's aluminum frame, glass back, it's IP67 dust and water resistant. It also has the 6.1-inch Retina IPS display. It's a 720p plus panel with 326 for the PPI. Overall, it's a pretty decent panel. I don't really have really any complaints with it. It's it's not an OLED, but it's fine for what it is. Also, this phone is going to get the iOS 16 update. It honestly will probably get another three years of updates probably. And you also have on here the Apple A12 chip on here, which is still blazing fast. I mean, check out the gaming test that I did. It still plays PUBG at high settings. It still games really well, and it just flies through iOS extremely well as well. So performance is still great on this phone. You also have 64 gigs of internal storage, 3 gigs of RAM, so it does fine with multitasking. The stereo speakers are really well done on this phone. Great bass quality, pretty good mids and highs on here. Apple Pay is on here, Face ID is on here. It all still works really well. You also have a single camera. It's a 12 megapixel standard and it shoots in 4K 24 through 60. Then you have a 7 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. I really like the cameras at this price point. I think it beats out a lot of budget phones, fairly easy. But this phone doesn't have any other lens, so it doesn't have an ultra wide or a telephoto. That's the only thing that makes it a little bit dated. But the single lens, it does do a fantastic job still, especially in good lighting. It takes really great selfies, FaceTime and everything looks really well. The video is solid. So I don't have an issue with the camera. It's just that you got to remind yourself it's only one camera. So if you get yourself in a shot where you need to ultra wide or zoom in or something, it's not going to be able to do it. All right, so you do have on here a 2,942 milliamp battery with 15-watt charging, and this phone actually does have wireless charging. So you're able to get around 6 hours of screen on time. Be sure to check your battery health. They're not allowed to sell these under 80% battery health, especially if you're on eBay. Always ask the seller. But yeah, I absolutely love the iPhone 10R. I think it's great. It's going to keep coming down in price as well too. So we should see this flat, at $200 by the end of the year. All right, next is the LG Velvet. This is also another phone that's come pretty much well below $200. You can easily find it for around $200. I actually gave my Velvet to my mom and she absolutely loves it. She hates her iPhone. I might bring her on for a video. She absolutely hates the iPhone. She loves the Velvet, which I thought was really funny. This is an awesome phone, guys. I really like this phone. It does have the dual screen case capability as well too. It's got, to me, still one of the prettiest designs. Honestly, it's got an aluminum frame on here, and it's just built like a tank. It's super slim, very stylish. It's IP68 dust and water resistant as well too. It's got a pretty massively tall POLED display. It's 6.8 inches. 1080p 395 for the PPI. It's just a beautiful, very vibrant and colorful display. Now this phone, it did get the Android 12 update as well too, and honestly this phone, the way LG is going, it looks like it might get Android 13 and the V60 as well too, which we will talk about. But yeah, so definitely keep that in mind. So you do have the Snapdragon 760 5G on here, Adreno 620. This is not the most powerful chipset. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the V60 if you want a more powerful experience. But yeah, so it's gonna give you a mid-range-ish kind of experience, which is fine. It does a great job with performance, social media, browsing, even light gaming. It's just not gonna be able to max stuff out. You do have micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM on here. You also have stereo speakers on here as well too. The headphone jack, it is on here, but it's not a quad DAC, unfortunately. But the speakers do sound pretty good on this phone as well too. The fingerprint scanner is under the display as well. And you do have a pretty good camera setup. It's a 48 megapixel standard, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 5 megapixel depth sensor. It shoots in 4K 30 with a 16 megapixel selfie cam that also shoots in 4K 30. And yeah, guys, so image quality is still pretty good on the LG Velvet. I honestly did not have an issue with it. So here's the thing about the Velvet. It still has fairly good battery life. So battery life is one of my favorite things about this phone. It's a 4,300 milliamp battery, charges at 25 watts. You also have wireless charging on here, and you can easily get 6 hours of screen on time with this phone. So one of my favorite things about this phone is the design is awesome. Dual screen cases here. It's a very tall phone as well too. And yeah, so just an awesome looking phone. All right, guys, next is going to be the LG V60. You can easily find this for around 250 bucks, again, on Amazon and on eBay. This would probably be my favorite phone on the list as far as price wise. I kind of swap back between this and the S10e because the S10e is actually much cheaper at 150, but you do get a lot more for your dollar with this phone though. But you have a tank of a design. It's aluminum frame, glass back, IP68 dust and water resistant. Just it's built like a tank. You do have a pretty big 6.8 inch POLED display. It's HDR10 plus at 1080p, 395 for the PPI. Overall, just a beautiful panel here, and this phone also has the dual screen case capability as well too. This phone also got the Android 12 update, and it looks like it will get the Android 13 update, the way that LG is still giving out security patches. So you do have the Snapdragon 865 chip, Adreno 650. This phone can still max out games, guys. PUBG, Call of Duty, Fortnite. I was able to play games at high settings. Check out my gaming test. Check out the benchmarks. You do have micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 8 gigs of RAM. So it's a very fast phone. It does not lag at all. You do have excellent sounding stereo speakers, great bass, and this phone also has the quad DAC with the headphone jack. So guys, if you want high quality audio listening, definitely buy this phone. It's super cheap and you get, like I said, a lot out of it. And like I said, dual screen case, quad DAC, a fast chip. That's why I said it really gives you the best bang for your buck. Under display fingerprint sensor is okay. It's not the fastest, but it definitely works. And then we also have an excellent camera system. Triple camera setup, 64 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 0.3 depth. It shoots in 8K 30, and then a 10 megapixel selfie cam that also shoots in 4K 30. And guys, it takes some awesome photos, especially in good lighting, excellent dynamic range, really nice natural colors. Also, the ultra wide is pretty close to the main lens as far as quality. Great video quality, great selfies on here. Just takes excellent photos and videos, especially for this price point. I think the best thing about the V60 is the battery life. So it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery. It does have wireless charging. Easily one of my best battery performers. Excellent standby time on this phone as well too. Easily can get you a full day. Very, very easy. So definitely check out the V60. Alright, so next is the Galaxy S10 Plus. This is an awesome phone. I actually recommended this phone to my dad, and he really liked it, even though he just broke it. But guys, this is an awesome phone. They're like 220 bucks right now on Amazon. Is absolute steal for this price point. The one I got him was, refurbished, renewed. It looked brand new. Also, aluminum frame, glass back on here. It's IP68, dust and water resistant. You do have a dynamic AMOLED display. It is HDR10 plus. It does have the double punch hole, but you really get used to it. After a couple of days using it. Honestly, it's 6.4 inches. It's a 1440p panel, 522 for the PPI, so very high resolution panel. You can watch 2K videos on here. It's very, very nice display, very sharp. This phone also got the Android 12 One UI 4.1. It is in its security patch stages. It does have the Snapdragon 855 and Adreno 640. Performance wise on here, it is still a very fast phone. You're able to still play games at very high settings. I might do an updated gaming test if you guys want to see that. Also, you do have micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM on here. Yeah, so just feature packed, guys. Also, stereo speakers are on here, very loud, great bass. Headphone jack is on here. Samsung desktop support is on here. Under the display fingerprint sensor is here. It works very fast. And you also have face unlock on these Samsung phones, which I always appreciate. Alright, so this phone has a triple camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel telephoto. It does 2x optical. Then a 16 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60. And then that dual camera setup is a 10 megapixel selfie and an 8 megapixel depth sensor. It shoots in 4K 60 as well. Image quality is pretty good on these older flagships. Like I said, they always perform. These phones perform great in medium to good lighting. It'll definitely get you a nice crispy shot, great dynamic range, great color signs on here as well too, an awesome video. So I usually, when I recommend these phones, I've never got people complaining about image quality on these phones. So you do have a 4,100 milliamp hour battery, 15-watt charging, reverse wireless charging, and wireless charging. This phone is able to get you around 6 hours of screen on time. And yes, I got questions about, well, what if I buy it refurbished? Yes, it's still able to get you around 6 hours of screen on time. I've asked, from my personal use of buying these phones and from others, you definitely can get up there. So that's pretty much it, guys. Be sure to let me know what you guys thought about the list. What phones would you guys add to this list? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.